And a big congratulations and a mazel tov to Ruben. We just got married.
Congratulations.
Mazel tov.
Awesome.
Of course. Okay, let me share my screen. So I found it appropriate to share this lesson with you today. So in a lot of instances, circumstances, there are things happening that are marking our life, our history, the events in our existence in a significant way. And we always talk about the bigger picture. And in the bigger picture, everything is good, because in essence, everything comes from the light. And so in this realm, what we call the realm of the tikkun, the realm of the karma, of correction, we're experiencing the ups and downs, we're experiencing the good and the bad, we're experiencing joy and sadness. But once the tikkun has been accomplished, there is no more good and bad. There is no more joy and sadness. There is only good, and there is only joy that is remaining. And so we get some glimpses of it when, even if in the moment we're going through a breakup, or we're going through getting fired from a place, or living because it was impossible to stay, etc. And in the moment it feels like everything is being shaken, and it feels like what's going to happen tomorrow, and a lot of uncertainty. But weeks and months later, maybe sometimes years later, we turn back and we look back and we see not only things have shifted for the better. Maybe I needed to learn this lesson in order to become more mature, to overcome certain things that I would be facing later on. And if I didn't go through this, I wouldn't have accomplished that. I've heard this countless and countless and countless of times. And so in relation to what has happened in the past couple of weeks, you know, the center is going through a big drastic shakeup with the departure of Karen Berg, the founder and the director of the center, the one that actually is at the source, at the cause for how the Kabbalah, this wisdom that was so guarded and so secretive for thousands of years, has been made available to the masses. And that is because of Karen's open mind and Karen's desire to just make it discoverable for and by anybody. And so, again, there's still some people that are struggling with the word Kabbalah and associating it to religion, and associating it to cult, or associating it to a group of people. And Kabbalah, even if today we're using the word Kabbalah, the wisdom in its essence is universal. And so this is why I guess more today than ever, you would find a lot of similarities between Kabbalah and a multitude of spiritualities, movements, groups, philosophies, even psychologists, or big thinkers, etc. Why? Because you can find everything in Kabbalah. And even though a lot of the texts that were written thousands, hundreds of years ago, they're still relatable and they're still current today. And so that applies to all the lessons that we are sharing, all the lessons that we are learning together. week after week, I get countless of those messages to say, wow, that message was exactly for me. But wait a second, we just shared a lesson that was written 2,000 years ago, right? And so when you're considering, reading a lot of like medicinal or different scientific discoveries, etc. This is one of the reasons why doctors, architects, and scientists and all those people, they have to consistently, and lawyers, and they all have to consistently go for continued, how's it called? Continued education or something like that. At least once a year, they have to go to those seminars. They have to study all those things. Even though they spend like 10 years at studying their field and their specialty, they still every year they have to go and they have to update what it is that they have learned, because every year it is evolving. Imagine what you have learned in computer science like 10 years ago, 2 years ago, is already obsolete. So take the example of what's his name? Should I just read an article about him? Like the previous owner of Apple. What was his name again?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. Thank you. Like whatever. Like I just read an article about him like 5 minutes ago. And so imagine Steve Jobs that created this company together with Bill Gates, and they studied whatever they studied. And I'm saying whatever they studied because apparently Bill Gates didn't even finish school. But what I'm saying with that is that imagine what they have learned like 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Like, what is it worth today? Or even what they have brought up with one of their computers like 3 years ago is completely obsolete. And this is why they are bringing up, the iPhone 12 and the new iMac and the new MacBook Pro, and they have, I'm sure, lined up all this technology for the next 5 to 6 years. They have like lined up all these upgrades, and some of them they're already developed, and some of them they are still working on. And this is the same for medicine, for vaccines, or for research. And this is why you have like so much that is being invested in all this R&D and whatnot. Why? Because those things are evolving on a daily basis. And sometimes what you have discovered like 2, 3 weeks, months, years ago, today is already obsolete. But then you come and you talk about spiritual universal rules that were written like thousands of years ago, and they're still current. And so this is like the perfect example when you take, what rules this realm of like the 1% and the 99%. We say about the 1% being the physical reality of the 5 senses, the finite reality, and then the 99% that is endless, that is continuous. And so if you want to know if you're connecting to the light or you're connecting to the 1%, really think about it for a minute. Even though I'm connecting to some aspect of light when I'm getting the new iPhone, how do I connect to some aspect of light? I'm a fan of iPhone, for example, some other people or the technologies. And tomorrow there would be like another technology, but it's exciting. This is why people are lining up in the store when they're even camping the night or the 2 days prior because they want to get the new model. So there is an aspect of light, and that is the renewed energy, that is the excitement, that is the happiness and the fulfillment. But 2 months later, where's that excitement? 2 months later, 6 months later, if they're a real fan of that object, of that technology, they're already looking for the new model that's coming up. They're already done with the one that came out like 2 months or 6 months ago. So you know that this object, or this, for instance, is very finite and is very 1%. But if what you're touching and what you're studying, what you're reading, is something that is of 100 years old, thousands of years old, and it still brings you to a wow moment, it still brings you to a connection, to an epiphany, to realization, it's still serving you today, then you know that whatever it is that you're touching and grasping right now, this is coming from the light. And so another example is, for example, when we're going to visit the righteous. So when we're going to visit the righteous, and righteous, I'm talking about like the people that are considered to be holy souls, for instance, that were conveying, that were channels for miracles in this world. So you take the example of the Baal Shem Tov, you take the example of Rabbi Elimelech, and each one of them, they're buried in different places in the world. The biggest concentration of righteous souls, buried righteous souls, are in Israel. And by the way, when I'm talking about Israel, it's not only what used to be the land of Israel. So it engulfs like a larger geography, I would say, or land that today is divided between Syria and Lebanon and Jordan and Israel and north of Egypt. And you have also different areas like this. So a big concentration is obviously Jerusalem, around Jerusalem. But all this to say is that even if that is the biggest concentration, then we're going to have like some really interesting surprises where the second concentration is to the old Poland. I'm talking about the old Poland prior to the Second War, where it was almost like an empire. It was encompassing Poland and Ukraine. And today it's divided. But back then it was all Poland. And so there is like a big hundreds of righteous that found this as an energy center. Poland and Ukraine today as an energy center. And you can spend like days, weeks at going from one place to another to connect to those graves, to those righteous that are buried there, and connect to the energy that they have revealed in this world. And this is why we do, when we do those energy tours, is to connect to the energy that this specific righteous has revealed in this world. So one has revealed the energy of miracles, the energy of bringing childbirth or marriage or soulmate or financial success or things like that. Each one of them has like a specific ability that has brought to this world. There are some similarities here and there, but it's very interesting because each one of them have their own timeline, their own history, their own gifts, and their own type of, I would say, miracle brand that they were bringing into this world. And so when we're going to their site, we're actually connecting to their energy. When we do these tours, we're not all of us going to connect in the same way, in a similar way to that same one. It's also connected to our soul's root. Where our essence basically comes from. And so I might be more in tune with one righteous, and you might be in tune with another righteous. You might stop at the site of the area and unexplainably you're going to start tearing up, and you're going to start like feel so emotional and so much vibe and energy and so much electricity and whatever. And then you're going to have like the rest of us that are going, what's up with this person? Like, but then you're going to go to the next site and then you're going to experience that, right? And so it's very interesting. And so what is even more interesting is that, first of all, you're going to visit a site, you would go visit a site of somebody that you don't even know, that has died like hundreds of years ago, sometimes thousands of years ago. This is what people do. They go and they, like when it's the death anniversary is the best time, but otherwise, the eve of the new moon and also during the full moon is the best times to connect to the tzaddikim to do those tours. But any other time is fine besides the holidays and Shabbat. And so, if we take the example, at least that's the one that I'm aware of, the oldest site that we can connect to is the site of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in Hebron. So today Hebron is in the Palestinian territories, and there is like this little pocket that goes, so it's like you go through like one route, and it's just like this pocket that is claimed by the Israelis, and the Palestinians are claiming it as their own territory, which is one of the biggest complicated problem in Israel and all the land over there. Each one claims that it's their own. But just going back to that pocket that is around the site of the patriarch, which is the cave of Machpelah. And we have like that same scenario in the cave of Rachel, in the tomb of Rachel, where we need basically oftentimes an escort, a military escort to go in. But once you are there, once you are on site and you're inside I would say the building, it's an incredible experience, because we're talking about a site, a tomb where you have those souls that have been buried there like 5,000 years ago. And people to this day, they're going to visit their site, and they go to connect, they go to pray, they go to beg for a miracle, for support, or whatever it is. And so, again, I mean, I would say 99.99999% of the graves that are in our country, at least I'm not aware of a lot of tzaddikim, righteous souls that are buried in the United States. And if there was like somebody that was like really special that was buried in the United States, or in Mexico, or in Bolivia, or in Colombia, or in Canada, or whatever, I don't know of a pelerinage. Is this how you say it? Like pelerinage, like something like that, where you have like hundreds of thousands of
pilgrimage.
That sounds much better coming from your mouth. And so, so I don't know of a lot of people that, let's say like 100 years, 200 years after that person died, that you would have, hundreds of thousands or millions of people that would go and visit that gravesite. And so again, this is the same example as I gave earlier about an object. If there is something that is of thousands of years old and is still relevant and is still contributing, serving you, so you know that there is light, tremendous light that is being conveyed there. But if that recognition, if that acknowledgement, that light is sort of like dying off, like after 100, 200, 300 years, I'm thinking like about my grandfather, who was, very special to me. But, in all honesty, like in 50 years or 100 years from now, I really don't know who's going to visit his grave. Do you follow what I'm saying? So it doesn't make him not special, but he was special for his family. But there are those souls that are going to remain special forever. Why are they going to remain special forever? Because they made their entire life mission to be of service, to be of revealing light, to be of channeling miracles or tools that would help people to connect to miracles, and that actually were subject or were the tools to bring miracles to people's lives. So let's just connect to this passage from the Zohar, which is about starting something new. So we're not forgetting about the old, because that old is probably going to stay forever, because it was the beginning of something that's going to last, God willing, hundreds of years, because it really like brought a stamp on humanity about revealing the wisdom of Kabbalah to the world. And very often those righteous, they're not recognized of their living, they're recognized after they're gone. And the achievement, the biggest achievement of the Rav and Karen, is that their primary mission was to make Kabbalah known by everybody. So to one extent or another, if you go to one of the 190 countries in the world and you say the word Kabbalah, likely they wouldn't be like, oh yeah, I study it every day. No, but they would have at least heard of it. And many millions of the people would have at least carried a book, or at least opened a book and read something about it. Fewer, but still large numbers of people have studied it to a certain extent, and have experienced a lot of change, and eventually made different decisions for their life as far as their spiritual path. But to this day, I know people that have been connected for over 30 years, and they have not only studied Kabbalah, but they have made Kabbalah part of their life, part of their spiritual path. So even though we are transitioning from something that was, from our perspective, old, it would always remain new. But we're still turning a new page, because a lot of that light, of that beacon, is sort of like our responsibility to carry in the way that we're changing, in the way that we are studying, in the way that we are leading by example, that we are restricting, that we're opposing. This is how we actually carry the light that the Rav and Karen have revealed in this world. So let's read what this passage is about. We experience excitement and energy when we begin something new, but as time goes on, often the energy fades. The Zohar explains that we can sustain the power of our beginnings by bringing in the Creator's light at the outset. As a tree depends on a seed, all future manifestations depend on their beginnings. What's more, all the moments of our lives, even those that seem to represent completion, are beginnings as well. Kabbalah teaches that the true destination of all our journey is complete joy and fulfillment. To reach this destination, we need connection with the light. The Zohar is explaining that the light we draw is referred to as the Shekhinah, the female aspect of the Creator, which is there to assist us and protect us in any journey we take. This section that we're going to read reveals the importance of bringing the light into our beginnings, that is, into everything that we do. We should always be accompanied by the light. So I'm going to read this passage from the Zohar. So you can take a minute maybe to meditate on something new that you're starting, if it's a relationship, or for Ruben and Jeremy for their marriage, or you're starting a marriage, or you're starting a business, or you're starting an endeavor or a project or a new page in any way possible. You can just like meditate, and as I'm reading from the Aramaic, you can just laser target that object, that project, that relationship, so that it is going to be enhanced with that light of wisdom, with that light of the Shekhinah. רבי שמעון הווה אזל בערכה, ואבו ימי רבי אלעזר ברב, ורבי יוסף ורבי חייא, עד ההווה אזלי אמר, רבי אלעזר לאבוהי ערכה מתקנה, כמן בינן למשמע מילי דאורייתא. פתח רבי שמעון ואמר, גם בדרך כשהשכל הולך ליבו חסר, וגומר כד ברנש באל תקנה ערכה, כמי קודשה בריחו עד לה איפוק לערכה. באל לעמלכה ולצלה כמי על ערכה. כמה דתננן, דכתיב צדק לפניו יהלך ויושם לדרך בפעמיו, דהה שכינתה לה התפרשה מיני. ומן דיהו לה מאמנה במערה, מה כתיב וגם בדרך כשהשכל הולך ליבו חסר מן ליבו. דה קודשה בריחוד אלה יהך אימי בערכה וגרה, מין סייתה בערכה בגין דהו ברנש דלה, מאמן במערה, עד לה יפוק בערכה לה באי סייתה דמערה. ואפילו בערכה כדי הוא הזה ללה השתדל במילה דאורייתא, ובגינך כך ליבו חסר דלה, אזיל בעדי דמערה ולה, איש תכך בערכה ואומר לכל שכל, הוא אפילו כד שמה מילה, דממנותא דמערה, הוא אמר דתי פשוטה הוא להשתדלה בה. Whenever you're beginning an endeavor or a new relationship, use this meditation to bring the Shekhinah the aspect of the light, of manifestation into your journey, and to gain and sustain the blessings that the light brings. All right, let's repeat these together so that we can enhance and infuse our life with that energy of new beginnings. So you can repeat responsively after me. Kad, Barnash, Ba'e,
Ba'e,
Le'at Kana,
Liat Kana,
Arche,
Arche,
Kame,
Kame,
Kudsha,
Kucha,
Berich,
Barich,
Hu,
Hu,
Ad,
Ad,
La,
La,
Ipok,
Ipo,
Le'archa,
Liacha,
Ba'e,
Ba'e,
Le'amlacha,
Liamlacha,
Be,
Be,
Uletzale,
Uletzale,
Kame,
Kame,
Al,
Al,
Arche.
Arche.
Very good. Okay, we did very well. Rav Shimon said, when a man is on a journey and he wishes to make his way agreeable to the Creator, he should consult the Creator and pray to him before he proceeds so that his journey will be ensured. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. If you have any questions or any comments, you can always email me or text message me, and don't be shy to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
A bientôt.
A bientôt.
Bye.